Hello everyone and welcome to Pitch This here on the MrEliMac channel. I am MrEliMac and this is the show where I just pitch you story ideas for different IPs that I don't own that will most likely never get made by me writing them. That's what I mean. Now before I get into the current idea that you currently see down there in the title, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps this video get out to people to watch. And I'd love for this video to find more people and grow the fan base. For this episode, I decided to pitch a sequel to last week's episode. And if you watched last week, I pitched a movie idea for Five Nights at Freddy's the movie. And so here's my pitch for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And like last week, some of the elements that you will see in this pitch have been inspired by the Game Theorist videos, and I would just like to thank MatPat and his crew for creating such a great foundation for people to build upon, because without them we wouldn't have all these lore ideas that were created for Five Nights at Freddy's. With that out of the way, let's get into the pitch. Now, we open with Mike Schmidt driving down a road towards a small town. He passes by some houses, but he's looking for a specific location. He stops in front of a house and steps out of his car. He sees a white house that could fit a family of 5. And he walks towards the house and he knocks on the door. There are a few seconds of silence, and the door handle turns. He stares at the door, and as it opens, it reveals Freddy Fazbear, and this would be the jump scare moment that would cut to black and reveal the title, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Now we go back to Mike, and he backs away from the door, finally able to get back to reality. And at the door, there would be a man who's slightly older than him, actually around the same age as him, because the way when this story is set to when the current timeline is set, it's sort of, their ages are around the same. That's all I can say. And Mike rubs his eyes and apologizes, and he asks the man if he is Jeremy Fitzgerald. There's not a reply, but Jeremy would invite Mike into his house. Mike enters the house and asks if Jeremy has a family, and Jeremy would say that he did, but his wife took all of his family away after the chaos of 1987. And Mike would tell Jeremy that's what he wants to talk about. And he wants to know what happened at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in 1987. Jeremy stays silent and sits down. He releases a heavy sigh, and Mike sits down as well. Jeremy keeps his gaze away from Mike. I've been trying to forget that place for years, but it always seems to haunt me. I heard it just shut down. It did, but the animatronics were searching for the killer. Yeah, I remember. But it was worse in 87. Back then, the killer was still alive. They were more aggressive. I remember it, just like it was yesterday. And we fade to the past to see a younger Jeremy and his best friend Fritz playing an arcade game in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Now, to take a quick moment, as you saw with the casting that I had for Jeremy, it is Jordan Fisher, and he's currently 28, just slightly younger than Jack Quaid, who I fan cast as Mike Schmidt. To put it into perspective, 1987 to 1993, that's only 6 years. So I envision Jeremy and Fritz to be in like early college around 1987. So the time jump isn't that crazy to have Jordan Fisher, since in real life he is 28, and in the past it would be just college to early college to late high school years. So not that big of a change, but I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I just showed you Jordan Fisher as Jeremy. So just wanted to get out of the way. Now, continuing on with the pitch. Jeremy and Fritz are a little too old to be there. Again, they're like early college, but it's the only place that had an arcade near them. After hours of playing, they start to leave, but Jeremy sees an ad on one of the walls, and it's Freddy Fazbear's Pizza hiring a new night security guard. Fritz is a little hesitant to apply, but Jeremy thinks it'd be a great idea. You know, summer job and everything. It'd be great. So he applies to the job, and he gets it on the spot because he's the only one to actually apply for the position. On night one, he's greeted by a message welcoming him to his new summer job. He is told about the former location and how there are new animatronics that have facial recognition software that's connected to a criminal database. He's also told that if any of the animatronics get near him, to put on the Freddy Fazbear mask that is right next to him. And after the message plays, Jeremy looks over at the Freddy Fazbear mask and chuckles. Like, really? Like, that's what I have to do if I see the animatronics roaming around? Really? That's a little ridiculous. And he pulls out his flashlight and shines it down the hallway. And after he does that, he starts to hear a music box. And he walks out of his office and he walks to the prize corner. And he sees the box and it has a note on it. Wind up every hour. He opens the box and he sees a puppet crouched inside. Jeremy, following the rules that were given to him, he winds up the box and he walks away from it, but still very confused why he even has to wind it up. And as he's walking away, he notices out of the corner of his eye, the toy Bonnie animatronic slightly moves. And he turns and shines the flashlight over that way, but the toy Bonnie stands still. And Jeremy heads back to the security office. And when he's heading back, the toy Bonnie, as Jeremy's back is turned towards it, just looks over that direction. Now, back in the office, Jeremy sits back in the chair and he hears footsteps close by. He turns on the flashlight and he sees the toy Bonnie. He grabs the mask and he puts it on. And as he puts on the mask, the toy Bonnie walks up to his face and stares directly at Jeremy. Just looking close, just right up close to his face. And after a few seconds, the toy Bonnie walks away back to the stage. Now, the rest of the night is a traditional night one of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Jeremy has to stay safe from the animatronics, and he also has to wind up the music box, rinse and repeat, and then the night's over, 6 a.m., and he gets to go home. And now, that next day of sorts, like it's the sun is up, so it's the next day, Jeremy speaks with Fritz about what happened that night, and Fritz talks about how cool that was that the animatronics were walking around and like how he had to wind up the music box, but Jeremy says that it was a bit creepy. You know, like the animatronics aren't supposed to be walking around, but Fritz asks if he can stay one night. But Jeremy states that he'll get fired if he brings anyone over the night. And so Fritz tells him that, hey, it'll be cool, come on, it'd be pretty cool. But Jeremy says no again. Now Jeremy goes home and he goes to sleep. And in his sleep, he has a dream of Freddy Fazbear giving cake to multiple children. He looks outside and he sees a young girl crying. He tries to go outside, but he's forced back to the center of the room. He continues handing the cake to the children, but he starts to slow down as he's trying to give the cake. But he also looks outside and he sees a car driving up to the crying child. Freddy tries to walk to the door, but he's too slow. The car door opens, and there's a guy in a purple shirt stepping out of the car. The crying child slowly turns gray, with the tear lines turning into just regular lines on her face. And once the crying child is fully gray, the puppet jumps out, waking Jeremy up. Now Jeremy, he meets with Fritz, and he talks about his dream. But it didn't feel like a dream. It felt more than just a dream. Like it felt like a memory of some kind. But Fritz says that he thinks that Jeremy is crazy. But Jeremy insists that it all felt real and at a distance. Jeremy and Fritz don't see it, but the puppet turns its head over to Jeremy, hearing the conversation that him and Fritz are having. Now, on night 2, Jeremy has to deal with Mangle, a rundown Foxy, and Balloon Boy now. And Jeremy runs throughout the pizzeria and just trying to be safe, winding up the music box and just trying to do what you would do on night 2. But after winding the music box up once, he hears a voice coming from the music box. It's a little girl's voice. And Jeremy feels like that he recognizes the voice, and he turns around and he looks at the box. You're not going to hurt any more of us. But Jeremy shakes his head and he runs back to the security office. And after the night is up, he goes back to the prize corner and he just stares at the music box. Who was that girl? Who was that voice? It sounded familiar, but who was it? But then we cut to Jeremy talking to Fritz about the puppet. And Fritz mentions something about a child going missing a few years ago. Fritz says that he'll do more research on it and then maybe that child, that missing child, might be connected to Jeremy's dreams, because finally Fritz is beginning to realize that maybe the dreams aren't that fake. Maybe they're more than just dreams, because after hearing what happened on those 2 nights and then putting the dreams and then knowing about a child that was missing, maybe it's all starting to connect. But Jeremy, he goes back home and he goes to sleep, and then he dreams about Foxy leaving Pirate Cove to 5 cheering children. Foxy walks closer to them, but is forced back to Pirate Cove. And he walks back to where the children are, and he sees one of them is frowning. One of them is sad. And once he gets to the kids, he's forced back to Pirate Cove again. But this time when Foxy walks out, he sees a blurred face and a man in a purple shirt. Foxy walks back to the children and he sees them all dead. 5 children. Dead. And Foxy backs away and he feels a hand on his shoulder. Suddenly, a withered Foxy jumps out and Jeremy shoots awake. Now, the next day, Jeremy meets with Fritz, and Fritz talks to Jeremy about his dream, and Fritz talks about how Jeremy's dream is eerily similar to the disappearance of a young girl named Charlotte Emily. Fritz tells Jeremy that Charlotte was the daughter of one of the 2 owners of the original Fredbear Diner, Henry Emily. Jeremy wonders if Charlotte is truly gone, or if she may be possessing one of the animatronics, and Fritz chuckles, thinking that's too crazy to think about. During night 3, Jeremy starts to notice that the toy animatronics aren't roaming the halls as much when he goes to wind up the music box. However, when passing through parts and services, he notices the withered Bonnie animatronics start to stand up. He gets back to the office and he works harder to protect himself, and he hears a voice again, the same that came from the music box, and it says, "I know you're there. You can't hide from us. You hurt all of us." And Jeremy doesn't know what to do. All he knows is that he has to survive night 3, and after surviving the night, Jeremy meets with Fritz and asks if he found out who the purple guy was. Fritz tells him that all he learned was after Charlotte's disappearance, 5 more kids disappeared. Jeremy asked for their names if they were given, and Jeremy, he was able to find their names, but only their first names. The names were Gabriel, Jeremy, Susie, Fritz, and Cassidy. Jeremy looks up, trying to wrap his brain around what is happening, but he still doesn't understand it. And Fritz tells Jeremy that he'll do more digging and try to find out who this purple guy was. Now, Jeremy is a little on edge since 2 of the kids were named the same as Jeremy and his friend Fritz. But again, he doesn't know what to think of it. He just knows that he has to continue on with the 5 nights. So he goes home, and he goes back to sleep, and Jeremy has another dream. This time of Freddy again. And Freddy is walking around the pizzeria, and he's discovering broken down animatronics. And he's discovering them all while he's following the puppet. And echoes of children screaming ring out through the pizzeria. And one by one, Freddy continues to find the animatronics until he sees the purple guy. Freddy steps back as the puppet disappears. A rictus smile appears on the purple guy's face as he lunges towards Freddy. Jeremy wakes up, sweating. He takes a few deep breaths and rubs his head. "He always comes back," rings in his head. Jeremy looks around, and there's no one to be seen. It was the same voice from the puppet. Now, before work, Jeremy meets with Fritz, and Fritz tells Jeremy that a police investigation is being held at the pizzeria. When Jeremy asks why, Fritz tells Jeremy that a few weeks before he was hired, 5 more kids went missing. Their identities haven't been released yet, but still, Fritz is nervous, and Jeremy tells Fritz about his dream of the purple guy destroying the animatronics and the voice that he heard. Fritz finally fully starts to believe that the animatronics are possessed. Jeremy thinks that they want the killer, but they don't know who it could be. Now, Fritz reassures Jeremy that he's going to be doing some more digging, and he's going to find out who the purple guy is. And Jeremy just has to take that assurance. Now, night 4 is here, and Jeremy has a rough go of it. He tries to wind up the music box without getting caught, and he has to keep his eyes on the vents near him. But every single time he just keeps hearing a voice again and again in the hallways. We're gonna find you. We're gonna kill you. Every single hour ringing back and forth. And after hearing it so many times, Jeremy finally replies, I'm not him. I'm not the purple guy. And silence fills the pizzeria. You're lying. You wouldn't be here if it weren't you. It's not me. I promise. I'm trying to find him, and when I do, he'll be brought to justice for all of the kids. That's not justice. That's mercy. We'll take care of him our way. And after surviving night 4, morning hits, and Jeremy leaves the pizzeria. Jeremy meets with Fritz and asks him if the police have done anything. Fritz says the police are closing down Freddy's until the investigation is over. And Jeremy says he needs to be there one more night. He just needs one more night. He thinks he can get through to them. But he just needs that one final night. Fritz is nervous for Jeremy, but Jeremy reassures him. It's going to be okay, Fritz. I can talk to them. Fritz nods. Now back at home, Jeremy has one final dream. He sees the puppet in his dream. And near are 5 dead children. The puppet grabs a Bonnie mask and floats near one. It puts the mask on one of the kids, and the child turns into Bonnie. Now, the puppet does the same with the others, but with a Foxy mask, a Chica mask, and a Freddy mask. When the puppet grabs the golden Freddy mask, though, it notices how aggressive the child is being. The dead child slowly stands up and grabs the puppet. The child's eyes glow red as the golden Freddy mask is placed on its head. The puppet's eyes start to glow red. The puppet looks over and sees Jeremy watching. The puppet floats to Jeremy. Now you understand what happened. I saved them. You were the first. You're Charlotte. Yes. And my dad's friend must be punished. Your dad's friend? Yes. He did this to us. Mr. Afton killed us. And Jeremy wakes up, not scared, but he's just shocked. Outside the pizzeria, Jeremy meets with Fritz and he talks about his dream. Jeremy tells Fritz that Mr. Afton is the purple guy. Fritz is reminded of the article with Henry Emily and that he opened Fredbear Diner with a partner, William Afton. Jeremy mentions trying to get through to the animatronics, but it's going to be a very long night if he's going to try to do that. Fritz wishes him luck. The two shake hands. Or hugs, depending on whatever the director wants to do. I'm just giving you a basis on what's going to happen. We're on night 5, and Jeremy does everything in his power to stay alive. Near the end of the night, he goes to the prize corner and locks the door. He walks up to the music box and opens it. The puppet slowly exits and stares at Jeremy. Hello, Mr. Afton. I'm not Afton, Charlotte. But you look just like him. You're seeing what you want to see. He's still out there, and he's going to keep killing if you don't help me. Jeremy and Charlotte have a conversation, but a projection of a golden Freddy suit appears behind the puppet. It walks closer to Jeremy, and it's ready to kill him. The golden Freddy hand rears back, and right before Golden Freddy slashes at Jeremy, the puppet grabs the Golden Freddy and says, "No." The animatronic disappears. Outside the room, there's a loud thud from multiple areas in the pizzeria. The puppet's eyes turn from red to white. The visage of Charlotte appears to Jeremy. She thanks him for helping her. Cassidy had blinded her from helping the children. Now Charlotte is going to help the spirits pass on. But Jeremy has to keep his promise to stop Afton. And he does. Charlotte smiles, and as the visage disappears, the puppet crumbles to the ground. Jeremy takes a deep breath and leaves the prize corner. The clock strikes 6 o'clock, and he smiles. And he goes out into the dining area, and he sees the other animatronics on the ground. And as he's staring at them all, he hears clapping behind him. Jeremy turns his head, and he sees another gentleman in a security guard's uniform. Jeremy asks if he was the guy on the cassettes, but the man says no. Jeremy asks, "Who are you?" "I'm surprised to see that you were able to calm her down." "Not even Henry could do that." "I bet making a promise to stop me must have been a hard one to make." "Afton?" The man leaves the shadows and reveals the true identity of the purple guy. William Afton. Jeremy says he's going to call the police, but Afton chuckles. Afton mentions how no one will believe that he did it. Jeremy tries to fight him off, but Afton gets the upper hand. He grabs Jeremy by the back of his neck and he brings him close to Mangle. "You know, I've always heard Mangle was a biting hazard." Afton opens Mangle's mouth, places Jeremy's head in it, and he shuts it onto Jeremy's head. Jeremy falls limp. Afton crouches down and whispers to Jeremy, "That won't kill you, but you won't have a frontal lobe anymore." Now that's what I call a splitting headache. Afton chuckles and leaves Jeremy alone. We go back to 1993 with Mike and Jeremy. Mike sits back and looks at him. He questions how he was able to survive that, but Jeremy says that he didn't survive it. No, he says that Jeremy survived. But Mike asks, "Wait, if Jeremy survived, then wait, who are you?" And it's finally revealed that the narrator of all Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was Fritz. Fritz was the one who saved Jeremy, and Jeremy's still currently in a coma. Mike asked if Fritz was able to catch Afton, but Fritz shakes his head. He says that Afton disappeared. No one has seen him since. But then Mike recalls seeing a dark figure with white stripes on its wrist back when he was a security guard, and Fritz looks at him and smiles. He mentions that was Charlotte. But after that, his smile fades away. That means Afton is still out there. Mike says that he'll find Afton and that he just needs help knowing where to go, but Fritz refuses to help. He doesn't want someone else to get hurt like Jeremy. So Mike hit a dead end. He thanks Fritz for his time and goes to leave. But Fritz stops him and tells him not to get obsessed with this. This will haunt a person's soul. Mike says that he has to help those kids. And Mike leaves Fritz alone. He gets in his car. He takes a deep breath and looks out to the road. And similar to Jeremy, he hears a voice in his head. He always comes back, but you have to wait. Mike nods, and he drives off, leaving Fritz's house. 30 years later, a new horror attraction has been opened. Fazbear's Frights, the horror attraction. And inside the building is a decrepit Golden Bonnie animatronic. However, something is different with this animatronic. The eyes, they look human. The head moves and stares directly into the camera. Cut to black. And that's how I would make Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Oh, we are ramping up to Five Nights at Freddy's 3, which will be next week. Now, I know some of you may be a little confused on why I decided to make the twist that, but when you look at all the lore bits that MatPat has done, that Jeremy Fitzgerald was the person who got bit in 1987, I very much wanted to keep that, so I decided to have Fritz, who was the Night Guard of Night 7, I want him to be the narrator and him to be the best friend of Jeremy. Also, I very much wanted to, like, misdirection of, oh yeah, Jeremy's telling the story, and Fritz is going to be the one that got bit. But no, I wanted to keep that bit of lore there, so just wanted it to be a twist. Also, I really wanted Ethan Hawke to play William Afton. You saw who I fan cast as William Afton, and I know a lot of you are also thinking, well, William Afton's supposed to be British. I mean, true, but come on. If you can get a chance to get Ethan Hawke to play William Afton, wouldn't you say yes and ignore the fact that William Afton is supposed to be British? I would. And also, I do have plans on adapting the other games in the franchise. I really do, and that's going to take all of this month and next month. May and June, full on Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. And when that's done, I'm going to be moving on to something else. But with all that being said, what were your thoughts on Five Nights at Freddy's 2? What were your thoughts on the pitch? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you indifferent to it? Whatever your thoughts, post them in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. With everything finally out of the way, I've been Mr. EliMac, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day.